This congregation has for many years selected a recipient or recipients for a special Christmas offering, collected during Advent and through Christmastide. This morning, we're excited to announce and celebrate that our Christmas offering this year will go to the Montclair Fund for Educational Excellence to help them put the wheels on the bus, to purchase a van that will enable them to expand and support the programs that support English language learners and their families in our community. Many of you may have been familiar with MFEE, Montclair Fund for Educational Excellence, or MFEE's work in Montclair over many, many years, how they have supported students and the school district here. You may also remember that they have been a leading voice in creating community spaces for conversation and learning around racial justice, including the America to Me series that many of us participated in a few years ago, and that continues to inform our congregational work around racial justice. So I am very glad this morning to introduce you to Maciel Rodriguez-Vars, who is the Executive Director, is that your right title, Executive Director, of MFEE, who's going to tell you more about their organization and what this van will help make possible. So welcome.
Thank you so much. First, let me just say what a lovely service and community you have. I was a little tearful listening to your beautiful choir. I couldn't help but think of the words in both the songs to listen and celebrating and thinking about how the work that we've been doing with many of our families who have recently immigrated to the U.S. really does give us the opportunity to listen to them and their journeys and to celebrate them. So thank you. I don't know who put that all together, but Katrina, good job, or whoever, because that was really lovely. And really echo the words of John David that there are many churches who speak beautiful words, and this is one. As Reverend Katrina mentioned, we have seen time and time again, you all are a community who really takes action. So I'm really honored to be here to share a little bit about some of the programs that MFEE has recently initiated in the last couple of years to support our multilingual learners who have recently immigrated from Central and South America. Before I talk a little bit more about helping us to put the wheels on the bus, I want to share a little bit about some of the families who are part of our programs and to give you a quick overview of the 3 initiatives that we launched just a few years ago. I am embarrassed to admit that even I, as a Latina and a 20-year resident of Montclair who attended church with a sizable Latino population, did not recognize that there are a growing number of immigrants who are living in Montclair, because many of our new neighbors do fly under the radar. They're navigating our community and our schools largely on their own. This is a very daunting task for folks who do not speak English, do not have transportation. In our programs, we have maybe a handful of families who have access to a car, which in Montclair, you would think it's a small town, but public transportation is very, very tricky, and it's not, it doesn't really lend itself to being able to connect to the community. Many of our families are also working multiple jobs to support their families, and they are dealing with enormous trauma, the trauma that has been triggered from leaving their home countries under very terrible circumstances. I think we often forget that the decision to leave one's home country is truly a heartbreaking one. The families are here because there simply was no other way for them to survive at home. Several face political persecution, extreme violence, or civil unrest that forced them into deep, entrenched poverty. They've endured dangerous journeys to arrive, and they've left everything behind. Some have even left their children and husbands and wives. God calls us to welcome our neighbors, to do unto others as you would have them do to you. These principles are at the heart of MFEE's programs to support recent immigrants. We were brought into the work by a principal, actually, who asked us to include a multilingual learner in our peer mentoring programs. And also, just accidentally, a student who was trying to register for school, a 16-year-old young boy from Guatemala, was trying to register for school and went to the high school unknowing that he had to do it online. So my colleague was trying to help him do that. And that's when our eyes were opened to how challenging it is not only to navigate our schools, but to navigate this community. We started the programs in June of 2021 after our eyes were opened a bit with only a dozen families. And in 2 years, we've now supported over 80 families and we're up to 115 children and counting. We just registered 2 new students from Nicaragua last week. The program that we launched has now, the main program is our umbrella program that we call Navegadores Escolares, which means school navigators. And really, they really act as shepherds. They're modern-day shepherds because as the families get connected to us, mostly by word of mouth from other families and or school administrators, nurses, and teachers, MFEE matches them in a one-to-one relationship to a Spanish or Portuguese-speaking community member. And like I said, our navegadores, they start by building a relationship. They're friends who also happen to be pretty savvy troubleshooters. So they help families not only navigate schools by helping them fill out forms, communicating with teachers, or advocating for student needs, shuttling them to school events. They also help connect families to resources, addressing food insecurity, medical needs, and even housing and legal needs. In short, we've replicated the types of networks that many of us use to navigate Montclair. They are that posse of people that you call when you need a question answered or a referral or just a friend to talk a problem over with. By the summer of 2021, we recognized that many of the children on our program had very limited English proficiency, and many had had interrupted schooling in their home countries, in part because of the pandemic. There wasn't a lot of remote learning happening in the foothills in Mexico and or countries that had been torn apart by war and economic poverty. So we tried to connect them to other tutoring programs in town, but none had bilingual tutors. And since the children were already struggling to learn English, learn in English-only settings, we knew they needed to have some academic support in their home languages. So even though MFE had never run a tutoring program, we quickly built one for teens, which we call Entrenadores Escolares, and a few months later, we created one for our little ones, kindergarten to 5th graders, that we call Oruguitas. We were given donated space, which was a game changer, because we were able to create a warm, welcoming community that not only provides bilingual academic support, but it also develops the social and emotional needs of the children, and it engages their parents. One of our Oruguitas really recently entered our new donated space, and he said, "Is this Oruguitas or paradise?" And we often refer to these programs as the programs that Montclair built, because they're such a collaborative effort. The children work with pre-service teachers and social work candidates from Montclair State. They're tutored by retired Montclair teachers. They're tutored by parents who were former teachers and by our dynamic Montclair High School teenagers. They're fed by Tony's Kitchen. They sit in chairs donated by St. Cassian's, and tables donated by Our Lady of Mount Carmel and the Montclair Public Library, and they read countless books donated by probably many of you. So we were also recently blessed to receive a multi-year grant from the Schumann Fund for New Jersey to hire a director of learning design, which has also been a game changer. She has taken our programming to the next level. She's created individualized learning plans for the 50 children in our programs. She provides consistent training and support for all of our tutors, and she meets regularly with the parents and Montclair Public School teachers to co-design the interventions that the children need. We are supporting these children as we would want our own children to be supported. The major challenge that we continue to face is getting our kids to and from our learning center, which is in the middle of town, and many of our children live on the south end, and they are coming from 5 different schools. And they cannot be bused to the center. We have an incredible network of volunteer drivers, and was so excited to see Sarah and Catherine and Linda, who have answered the call to be our volunteers, which we know is not always easy. The children can, be a little energetic coming out of their school buildings. But not everyone has a minivan, and some can only pick up a few children at a time. So as Reverend Katrina mentioned, we are looking to purchase a van that would allow us to not only boost our current capacity to better serve the children we have, but we have a wait list of 20 children that are waiting to get into our programs. And as I said, the population continues to grow. The 15-passenger van would also allow us to take groups of our families to health clinics, which we do. shuttle them to school events like back to school nights and graduations, and to engage even more families in our growing programming. We currently offer digital literacy workshops, we offer Mommy and Me music classes to build early literacy, and we are taking parents, as I said, we're doing trainings to help parents connect to teachers through parent-teacher conferences. We have seen the enormous impact that these programs have had on families and children in a short time. The kids are feeling more connected to our town and their schools. We have a group of teens that just started this year their own newcomer club at Montclair High School. And one of our oruguitas just ran for student council. We have another student who was failing most of his classes in middle school last year, and he just made the honor roll. So connection is indeed powerful. And we are so grateful that you are interested in helping MFE continue strengthening the bridges of connection for all of our newest neighbors. Thank you so much.
If you are moved to give, you can make a donation online at unioncong.org/payments or click the Donate Pay button and select Christmas offering from the options on the menu. If you would like to donate in person, there are offering envelopes in the pews. You can please just write Christmas offering or MFEE on that so we know what it is for, or make a note on the check line. Your offerings will now be gratefully and humbly received.